now let's move to Module 4, Brewing and Appreciating Chinese Tea. For the past 1, 2, 3 modules, we have been learning most important knowledge about tea appreciation or tea cultures. One thing I want to point out is why Chinese tea art is unique. Compared with tea around the world, why Chinese tea art is unique? Because we appreciate tea. And for most of the tea cultures around the world, no matter it's British tea culture, Japanese tea, or Turkish or Indian, masala cha, or like a Russian tea culture, most of them see tea as kind of beverage or drink. I think Japanese tea ceremony is an exception, but they focus on the ritual much more than tea itself. Unlike those tea cultures, Chinese tea art focus on tea appreciation. So tea appreciation started from Lu Yu in Tang Dynasty. It has so many important concepts and factors. So in this module, we are going to learn it. So how to appreciate Chinese tea, how to make Chinese tea, how to have a good cup of tea. This is the outline. So in this module, it consists of 4 parts. The first part is the utensils for brewing Chinese tea. So there are so many utensils, including teapots or teacups, etc. So we will learn how to choose, how to use those tea utensils to make a good cup of tea. And the second part is important factors for brewing tea. So you cannot just put tea leaves in the teapot, that's it. So your tea won't taste good. So there are some important concepts you need to know to make good cups of tea. We will explore more about those factors. And then the third part is important concepts of tea appreciation. So before appreciating tea, what should you know? What kind of concepts should you have? For example, the most important concept you should know is appreciating tea, especially Chinese tea. It's the process of decoding messages from the tea leaves, but how to do it and why we need to do it. So we will talk about that more later. And the last part, we come to most important part, how to appreciate tea. So based on the knowledge you have, and based on the important concepts you have, and then based on the knowledge for you to choose tea utensils, how to appreciate tea is an important topic we need to talk about. So we will leave it to the end. Now let's explore how to choose utensils for brewing Chinese tea. As you can see from the picture, there is a tea set. So the tea set consists of so many things. So the first thing you see is this. It is called tea ship or tea tray. So this one is made of bamboo. And you can see there are 2 holes there. So what is the purpose? So we will talk about this later. And also teapots, like this. You need a teapot. And how do you choose teapot? So do you choose a clay teapot like this? Or can you use other kinds of materials? And what is the difference between them? So we will learn more about that. And the next one is teacup. So there are many teacups you can choose. Like this. This is really small. So we said this is a drinking teacup. And this is a higher. So this is a small teacup. But nowadays, not many people use smelling teacups. So in the past, traditionally, when people make oolong tea, they will have a drinking teacup like this and smelling teacup like this. So they even pour tea into the smelling teacup and put it inside the drinking teacup like this. And after a couple seconds, they get it out and then smell it. So this smelling teacup helps you to feel the aroma much better. Okay, so this is okay too. But nowadays, people they think, oh, that's too troublesome to get 2 kinds of teacups. So they just skip this smelling teacups and then using just drinking teacups. So we will talk about drinking teacups much more later. And another utensil is tea towel. So you can use any tea towel you like. So it doesn't matter. And teaspoon. This is teaspoon. And this is also teaspoon. And this is also teaspoon too. So look at this. What is the purpose of using teaspoon? So teaspoon is for you to get tea out of the tea instead of touching the tea by your hand. So especially we use teaspoon like this for oolong, 铁观音, or green tea or other kinds of tea. And what is the difference between these two? This is bamboo and this is ceramic. It doesn't matter because for teaspoons, the purpose, the function of it, just as I said, get tea out of the tea container and then put it into the teapot. So it doesn't affect the tea aroma or flavor so much. So personally, I use this too. And for convenient purpose, normally I will put tea into this tea tray, put it there, and then pour it into the teapot. Because at that time, I feel I'm ready. Otherwise, if you use this kind of teaspoon, you have to do it right from the beginning, and then you have to adjust the amount you put. But it doesn't matter, as I said. So tea towel, teaspoon, the material is okay, no matter what kind of material you use. And the last part is strainer. This is a strainer. Some people use it to serve as a filter. Nowadays, like some of my friends, when they make tea, they don't use filter. They just pour tea into the pitcher like this. Into the pitcher and then serve the tea. So if you don't want to use strainer, it doesn't matter. But for me, I use it. I use it all the time. But because I think if you use filter, the color and then the tea is clear. So that will help you to see the clarity, and I feel much better. So it's up to you if you want to use a filter or not. So it doesn't matter. This is not so strict. So either you want to use it or not. It's up to your personal preference. Okay, so this is the tea set. And now I want to talk about tea tray or tea ship. So tea ship, the purpose of it is to hold the utensils, especially teapots. And if you have some water, you don't want to use it, you can pour it into the hole I just showed you earlier. So the most important function of the tea tray or tea ship, we call 茶船 or 茶席, is to make it more organized and then make it neat and also contain excessive water. You don't want it. For example, you wash all the utensils, teapots, teacups, and you pour the water into the tea ship. And also the most important thing is carry the tea sets. Now, I want to talk about materials of tea ship. So there are so many different kinds of materials. Bamboo, the one I show you actually is made of bamboo. And then another material is ceramic or wood. Or nowadays, people use modern materials including plastic or metal. So for that, I don't recommend. I think the best or the most suitable materials for your tea ship, number one, is made of bamboo because it's light and traditional. And also, it looks really elegant and aesthetic. It's easy to clean. But remember, after you finish making your tea or brewing your tea, make sure you clean all of the utensils, especially the tea ship made of bamboo, and dry it with towel and make it dry completely. Otherwise, after many times, if you don't dry it, the bamboo become like rotten, and it is not good. So the material will get bad. So make sure you wash the tea ship completely and dry dry the tea ship afterwards. So this is a very important procedure to follow. And then ceramic. For ceramic, it's durable. So as I said, if you compare bamboo and ceramic, bamboo can be durable, but you need to make it really dry and clean that completely. But for ceramic, if you forget to dry it, of course you will wash it. But if you forgot to dry it completely, it is okay. No one will check the inside of the tea ship. But if that is made of bamboo, after a couple times, the tea ship will become rotten. So that is the major difference. Personally, I have these two. I have bamboo at home, and then for most of the time, I use bamboo because it's light and elegant. I also have a ceramic tea ships. I have two, but they are much heavier than the bamboo tea ship. For my recommendation, if you want to have, a proper tea ship, I will recommend buying tea ship made of bamboo. The next one is teapot. Making tea or gongfu tea essentially is a process of breaking down the cell structure from the tea leaves and then release the flavor of the tea. So during this process, the most important utensil is the teapot. So the materials of a teapot really affect the tea release from it. So teapot is very important. The most important thing you need to know is for Chinese teapot, it's better to buy smaller size like this. As I mentioned earlier, it's suitable for 2 to 4 people. For 6 people, it's okay, but a little bit slightly smaller. So if you have more people, you use a little bit bigger teapot, or you break it into 2. You use 2 teapots. So Chinese teapots tend to be smaller, especially this kind of clay teapot, for gongfu brewing as well. So clay teapot is the best choice. And it focuses on the balance and the pouring control. So how to choose teapot is a very important thing to learn. And later we will discuss it. What kind of material, what should you buy, and what is the difference if you use a ceramic or a clay teapot. Next, let's talk about materials of a Chinese teapot. So there are many different types of materials for teapot. The first one is glass. For glass, you can see through your tea clearly. So for visual enjoyment, that is really good. But normally, we don't use glass teapot for tea appreciation. It's more for flower tea. So if you make rose or lavender or herbal tea like mint or chamomile, so you can use glass teapots and you can see the change, and which is really entertaining. The next one is most important one is clay. Clay, or we say 宜兴 or 紫砂 teapot. So the important feature of 紫砂 teapot is it can help absorb flavor, can improve quality of brewing over time. So a lot of tea lovers love 紫砂 teapots. So personally, I have a lot of 紫砂 teapot. For 紫砂 teapot, we will talk about if you use it, be careful about one thing. So what is that? So we will talk about that later. And then the next type is porcelain. Porcelain is more neutral. It is more convenient, from my perspective. And it keeps the original taste. It doesn't improve it like a 紫砂 teapot. But porcelain teapot is like, neutral. And then it keeps original flavor of your tea. And also it's really convenient. So these 2 kinds of teapots, the first one, 紫砂壶 or 宜兴 teapot or porcelain teapot. So these two kinds are most common materials we use for tea appreciation. Okay, when we want to choose teapots, we tend to choose either 宜兴 or porcelain. Now, let's learn more about clay teapots. So serious or gongfu cha tea lovers they will use 紫砂 or 宜兴 clay teapot. So there are mainly two reasons. The first one is 紫砂 teapot. It can improve the brewing over time. And the best 紫砂壶 come from Yixing, China. Good quality of 紫砂 actually are not cheap at all, but that will help you improve the quality of your brewing over time. And the second reason is 紫砂 teapot has a very good heat handling property, so it can help you maintain the heat. It doesn't reduce the temperature quickly, so that will maintain the heat and make it warm enough to make the best cup of tea. Compared with porcelain, of course, porcelain is much more convenient. But be careful, if you use 紫砂 teapot or clay teapot like this, you can only stick to one kind of tea. For example, I use this 紫砂 teapot for oolong or for Artisan oolong. I only use this. I don't mix with other kinds. For example, if I want to make a pour, I have to use another kind. You know why? Because this kind of 紫砂, it has lower temperature, lower fire temperature. So it has a pulse in there, even though you cannot see it. So easily they absorb the flavor. So if you mix different kinds of tea with the same teapot, the flavor or aroma will be changed. So for tea lovers, they don't want to see. So for serious Gongfu tea lovers, they will use different kinds of teapots. That's the reason why tea lovers tend to collect a lot of teapots. Of course, it's for appreciation, the beauty of teaware making. And the second one is you can only make tea with one kind of tea with the same teapot. So that's the reason why you need to have more. That is the examples of different teapots, different colors. You can use it for different kinds of tea, like one for oolong, one for black tea, and then one for perhaps pour, etc. So you have to stick to one, So for me, for pour, I stick one pour, one region, because there are so many different regions for pour. So you need to use different teapots to release the best part of the tea. Because even though they belong to poor, big family, different villages or different regions produce different kinds of tea because of the soil, because of the environment. So the tea will be different, totally different. So it's better to use teapots if you choose to make tea out of the clay or 紫砂 teapot. Now, let's talk about porcelain teapots. So in contrast to clay teapot, porcelain teapots are fired at a higher temperature. So for this kind of porcelain teapot, there are no little holes, like clay teapot. Because there are no holes, as I said earlier, it's more convenient for you to just use the same porcelain teapot for all kinds of tea. So if I like, I can use this to make pu'er, oolong, green tea, 铁观音, rock tea, etc. So for the convenient purpose, I will recommend that you use porcelain teapot, especially if you have many different kinds of tea. But if you really want to experience the true flavor from the tea you make, clay teapot is the best choice. That's about teapots. Now let's move to teacups. So the key factors to choose teacups, materials. Teapots materials are the same as teacups, like porcelain and then 宜兴, clay or glass, and the size and the shape. So let me show you some teacups I brought today. This is a teacup from Turkey. And this is one teacup from Taiwan. And another type for teacup. So this is a ceramic. This is also porcelain ceramic. And this is clay, but with glaze. Okay? Which one will be better for brewing Chinese tea? What is your answer? Is this okay? How about using this teacup? Very colorful, very beautiful teacup. The answer is no. If you want to appreciate the tea, color is very important. So to appreciate the color of the tea, it's better to use this type of teacups with white, white color, white. It doesn't matter what kind of pattern outside. Always white base. Because when you see the tea color, you will know, oh, this is really, light, or this is reddish color. So at the first sight, you will know what kind of tea or what kind of aroma you can expect. So for tea appreciation, it's better to use this kind of teacups. Not too big, not too small, but tend to small, much smaller than the cups in the Western tea culture, like British teacups. That is really big. So I want to show you this. You can see the size. This one is much smaller. This one is a little bit bigger. So if you choose which one you like, is this okay? This is okay. And this one is okay too. But for my personal preference, I would choose the right-hand side teacups. There are some reasons. The first one, number one, wide ring. It's easier to appreciate aroma because this tend to be bigger, wider than this smaller one. So to appreciate aroma, this one is a better choice. Okay. Number two, because it's slightly bigger, but not so big. For every brewing, I can have enough amount of tea to investigate or to see the difference, over time. From the first cup, second cup, third cup, you can have enough amount of tea to appreciate. So for those purpose or reasons, I will tend to choose this size of teacups with wide base. So those are the teacups with different materials for you to go through. So glass teacups, again, it's better. Of course, it's easier to appreciate. You can see that, transparent. But just like flower tea pots, it's better for flower tea. Because for glass teacups, it's really hard to hold. So for tea appreciation, especially Chinese tea, it's better to choose Yixing clay teacups or porcelain teacups. But let's come back to a very important reason for you to choose. For the convenient purpose, I think I will recommend you buying porcelain teacups with white in the bottom. That will be easier to appreciate all kinds of tea.